Please get comfortable. Y'all feeling okay?
Yeah.
All right. And it's a big show because there's a lot of information today about stuff that you might not have thought about in a while. And before we get started, let me ask you a question. How safe do you feel at the supermarket? Not out in the parking lot, but inside the store's doors, where you make some of your most sacred decisions for your family, the foods you buy. After today's show, you're going to think again about this. There's growing concern that there are dangers at our supermarkets. What you don't know about the handling, packaging, and selling of food could be putting your family at risk. Just take a look at this. Most of us shop at the supermarket twice a week. With grocery list in hand, we cruise the aisles, grab what we need, and check out. But how many of you think about the safety of the food you're putting in your shopping cart and on your family's table? A recent study revealed that 1/3 of us are worried about the safety of the food at our supermarket. And with good reason. Our food is making us sick. Last year, 76 million Americans fell ill from contaminated food, sending 300,000 to the hospital and killing 5,000. So how many of these cases are due to dangers in our supermarkets? To take an example, in North Carolina, state inspectors have found everything from weevils and mouse droppings to a moth infestation at food stores. Another major health threat? Supermarkets storing food at the wrong temperature. Not cold enough for refrigerated items and not hot enough for prepared foods, which are rapidly becoming the meal of choice for many working families. So who's minding the stores? And how do you keep your family safe? Roy Costa is a former food inspector who has inspected thousands of grocery stores throughout his 30-year career. Even though he still works in the industry, Roy's not afraid to blow the whistle on unsafe supermarket practices. So, Roy, just walk me through why you think there's a problem with food stores providing safe food to us.
Well, we know there's a problem, Doc, because our health inspectors are going in to these supermarkets, and they're finding a significant number of sanitation issues out there.
So we're going to walk through this today on today's program, but I first want to introduce Dr. Doug Powell. He's an associate professor of food safety at Kansas State University. He's worked for 16 years with supermarket chains all over the country to help reduce the incidence of foodborne illness. Talk to us a little bit about what foodborne illnesses you think are the ones we should be worried about.
Well, with a supermarket, you have all kinds of raw and prepared foods coming in, and they may contain dangerous microorganisms like E. coli or salmonella. Once in the supermarket, you also have a whole bunch of people coming in, moving around, and we all have our bugs that are moving around with us. A particular concern in the supermarket is the deli counter, where that meat gets sliced up. And for any pregnant woman out there, listeria is especially a concern, and that's why pregnant women are told, do not eat deli meats or other ready-to-eat foods.
So today, we're going to be revealing the top 3 secrets your supermarket doesn't want you to know. And then I'm going to tell you exactly how to protect yourselves. So the first supermarket secret that could be making your family sick is in the meat section. Now, I need a little help for this, so I've asked Sheila, who's in our audience, to join us today. Let's go over to the meat section. Sheila, Roy, come join us. Now, so Sheila's job is to be mom, is to help us understand some of the mistakes that we make. And so the first question to you is, do you generally consider the supermarket food to be safe that you buy?
I would like to believe that it is. I'm sure there are a lot of issues involved, but I would like to think that my supermarket is a superior supermarket.
All right, so now we're going to find that out, and I'll be next to you to help you. So, Roy, walk us through the meat section here.
Okay, well, we have labels on meats, okay? And we see that we have use-by dates on here. When you buy meat at the supermarket, you're looking for these expiration dates, but you don't know exactly how old this meat actually is. So we recommend that when you bring this home, use it pretty quick. Okay, now you could freeze it, and that's going to extend the shelf life.
So rule of thumb, if I'm getting this right, is within 2 days of buying meat, Sheila should either eat it or freeze it. Is that
that's
fair
correct.
to say?
Yes.
All right. Now, second big issue then, Sheila, is what color should the meat be?
Well, I would hope that it'd be a nice shade of red or pink or something along those lines.
Roy, walk me through how you can use color to guide you, or can you?
Okay, yeah, you can to an extent. I mean, the red, what you're seeing there is hemoglobin. After this starts to age and oxidizes, it's going to start to turn brown. Now, the problem is that we have some new technology on the market now that introduces carbon monoxide into these packages and actually extends the color of these packages way beyond what we would normally consider as fresh.
Right, let me show you something. Come back for a second.
Perfect.
So step back here. You're going to be doing this little experiment. So put these gloves on.
Purple gloves.
So Roy was just describing carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide actually prevents the blood cells from doing what they need to do, which is to move with oxygen. It does the same thing with meat. So we actually went out yesterday and we bought this meat. And we wanted to see if we could use color to judge whether or not this meat was fresh or not. Would you mind breaking that piece of patty apart? Just break it apart and good. Now, now can you just show that out there, everybody? Can everyone see that? Now, do you notice that it's not red all the way through? Roy, why is that?
I would guess that probably what they're doing is mixing the meat again and putting the red on the outside and the brown on the inside.
Yeah. Or they can just make the outer meat look red by exposing it to some of the products that Roy was speaking about. The other thing I just want to point out, broadly speaking, is, these supermarket chains aren't butcheries, right? So they're not regulated the same way. And so we're actually putting a lot of pressure on a supermarket chain to behave itself in a way that a butchery would normally behave itself. So let's go to now the second big supermarket secret. It's the one that I think a lot of people overlook. You'll find it right here in the prepared food section. You ever buy food here?
I have, yes.
So Roy, walk me through this.
Well, you've got food here that's being prepared ahead of time. It's usually food like this you're going to find in the hot case. You're going to find this being kept supposedly hot. But, we all know that food is going to dry out. So there's a tendency not to keep this product at 135 degrees. And when you do that, then you're going to give whatever bacteria left over in that food, basically the spore bacteria that weren't killed, you're going to find them growing in a product like that.
The key question is, how many hours can it have been in this prepared food section, Roy, before you think you ought to just pull the trigger and say, I'm not getting that?
Well, we look at a 4-hour window as a safety margin. Within 4 hours, you can start to see bacterial growth start to increase.
So what are you going to say then, Sheila?
After you ingest something like that,
Yes.
how soon would you start to feel symptoms, or what can you expect?
Well, I'll take it as a doctor in the group. You have about 6 hours with food poisoning, but you can also get bacterial infections that don't show themselves to you for a day, depending on how fast those bacteria grow. But let me move you to the third, because these are only the first two. There's actually a third secret in your supermarket chain, and they might be making you ill, and it's actually at the produce aisle. And it's not just what the supermarket does to your produce, it's what we are actually doing as well. Take a look at this.